Your 20s are the most financially leveraged decade of your life. Not because you're earning the most, you're almost certainly not. Not because you have the most to invest, you probably don't, but because of time. Every smart financial decision you make before 30 has more runway to compound than the same decision made at 40 or 50. The gap between someone who figured this out at 24 and someone who figured it out at 34 is not 10 years of progress. It's often the difference between retiring early and working longer than they wanted to. The problem is that most young adults don't get a roadmap. The tips in this video aren't theoretical. They're the moves that consistently show up in the financial histories of people who reached real wealth. Not lottery winners, not tech founders, but ordinary people who made the right calls early and let time do the heavy lifting. Here are 8 of them. Welcome to Global Finance Watch, where we break down the strategies, trends, and decisions that drive real financial outcomes. If you're new here, subscribe. We put out finance education and market analysis every week. Tip 1, start investing now, even if the amount feels embarrassing. The single biggest financial mistake young adults make is waiting. Waiting until they earn more. Waiting until they understand investing better. Waiting until life feels more settled. Every year of waiting has a real, calculable cost that most people dramatically underestimate. Here's a number worth sitting with. If you invest $200 a month starting at 22 and earn the stock market's historical average return of around 10% annually, you'll have approximately $1.5 million by age 65. If you wait until 32 to start the exact same $200 monthly contribution, you'll end up with roughly $570,000. Same amount invested each month. The only difference is 10 years. That 10-year delay cost you nearly $1 million. The amount you start with matters far less than the fact that you start. Open a brokerage account or a Roth IRA. Set up an automatic monthly contribution, even $50, even $25, and let it run. You can increase it as your income grows. What you cannot do is buy back the time you spent waiting. Tip 2, understand the difference between an asset and a liability and start acquiring assets. This is the framework from Rich Dad, Poor Dad that has introduced more people to wealth-building thinking than almost any other piece of financial education. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out. An investment account is an asset. A car loan on a depreciating vehicle is a liability. Dividend stocks are assets. A credit card balance is a liability. Rental property with positive cash flow is an asset. A boat you use twice a year is a liability. The pattern that separates people who build wealth from those who don't is straightforward. Wealthy people consistently prioritize acquiring assets. Most people, without realizing it, spend their rising income on liabilities. Bigger cars, more subscriptions, lifestyle upgrades that feel like rewards, but don't build anything. In your 20s, this doesn't mean living like a monk. It means being intentional about where new money goes when your income increases. Before you upgrade your lifestyle, ask whether there's an asset you could acquire instead. Over a decade, that habit builds a fundamentally different financial position. Tip 3, build your credit score like it's a financial asset, because it is. Your credit score is one of the least visible but most impactful numbers in your financial life. It affects whether you get approved for an apartment, what interest rate you pay on a car loan, whether you can get a mortgage and at what rate, and in some cases, whether you get a job offer. A difference of 100 points on a credit score can translate to tens of thousands of dollars in extra interest paid over the life of a mortgage. Building strong credit in your 20s is straightforward. Pay every bill on time, every time. Payment history is the single largest factor in your score. Keep your credit card balances low relative to your credit limit, ideally below 30% and ideally much lower. Don't close old accounts because account age factors into your score. And avoid applying for multiple new credit accounts in a short window. If you're starting from scratch with no credit history A secured credit card, where you put down a deposit that becomes your credit limit, is one of the best tools available. Use it for small, regular purchases. Pay the balance in full every month, and within a year, you'll have a meaningful credit history to build on. Strong credit isn't glamorous, but it's one of the most practical financial tools you have, and the 20s are the ideal time to build it. Tip 4. Avoid lifestyle inflation as your income grows. This is the trap that catches more talented, hardworking people than almost any other financial mistake. You get a raise. Your salary jumps from $45,000 to $60,000. And within 6 months, your spending has quietly expanded to absorb the difference. New apartment, better car, more eating out, more travel. The raise feels good, but your savings rate is the same, or worse. This is lifestyle inflation, and it's particularly dangerous in your 20s because your income is likely to grow faster during this decade than at almost any other point in your career. Every time you let your spending grow as fast as your income, you're forfeiting the most valuable thing a raise can give you: the ability to build wealth faster. The framework that works is to decide, before a raise hits your account, what percentage of it goes toward your life and what percentage goes toward your future. A common approach is to split it. If you get a $500 monthly raise, put $250 toward lifestyle improvements and direct $250 into investments or debt payoff. You still get to enjoy the increase, but your financial position accelerates at the same time. Over the course of a career, the people who keep lifestyle inflation in check end up with dramatically different outcomes than those who don't, even when their peak incomes are identical. Tip 5. Get your employer's 401k match before you do anything else. If your employer offers a 401k match and you're not capturing the full match, you are leaving free money on the table. This is not a metaphor. An employer who matches 50% of your contributions up to 6% of your salary is handing you a guaranteed 50% return on that money before the market does anything. No investment in the world reliably offers that. The way a typical match works, your employer agrees to match a percentage of what you contribute up to a cap. If they match 100% of contributions up to 3% of your salary and you earn $50,000, contributing 3% of your salary, $1,500 a year, gets you another $1,500 from your employer automatically. If you contribute less, you get less. If you contribute nothing, you get nothing. At minimum, contribute enough to capture the full employer match. Beyond that, aim to gradually increase your contribution rate over time. Each time you get a raise is a natural moment to bump it up a percentage point without feeling the difference in your paycheck. For young adults who feel like they can't afford to invest, this is the place to start. The guaranteed return on a matched contribution is too significant to pass up. Tip 6. Build an emergency fund before you feel like you need one. Most people don't think about an emergency fund until they're in an emergency. By then, the options are bad. Go into debt, liquidate investments, or lean on family. Any of those outcomes sets back progress that took months or years to build. 3 to 6 months of living expenses kept in a high-yield savings account is the standard recommendation, and it's the right one. The goal isn't to earn a great return on this money, it's to have it available instantly, without penalty, when something unexpected happens. And in your 20s, unexpected things happen. Job loss, medical bills, car breakdowns, a move you didn't plan for. These are not rare edge cases. They're normal life events. The psychological value of an emergency fund is as important as the financial value. People without one make worse decisions because desperation is a terrible advisor. When you have a cushion, you can afford to be patient, to hold your investments through a market dip instead of panic selling, to take the right job rather than the first one, to handle a crisis without it spiraling into a debt problem. If 3 to 6 months feels too far away, start with 1 month or $1,000. Start somewhere and build from there. A high-yield savings account earns meaningfully more than a standard savings account and is just as liquid. Tip 7. Take your taxes seriously and learn the basics. Most young adults think about taxes once a year when they file, and otherwise treat the whole subject as something to hand off and forget. That approach is expensive. Understanding a few basics can save you real money. Contributing to a traditional 401k or IRA reduces your taxable income, meaning you pay taxes on less of what you earn. A Roth IRA works differently. You contribute after-tax dollars, but your growth and withdrawals in retirement are completely tax-free, which is a powerful advantage if you're currently in a low tax bracket. Knowing which one is better for your situation is a decision worth understanding. If you have any self-employment income, freelance work, or side income, your tax situation becomes more complex, and the opportunities for legal deductions increase significantly. Home office expenses, equipment, software, mileage, these can all reduce your taxable self-employment income when properly documented. You don't need to become a tax expert, but spending a few hours understanding how your income is taxed and which accounts and deductions are available to you will pay dividends, literally, for the rest of your financial life. Tip 8. Invest in your earning power as aggressively as you invest in the market. Everything we've talked about in this video, the investing, the compounding, the assets over liabilities, scales with income. The more you earn, the more you can direct toward wealth building. And in your 20s, your earning potential is more malleable than it will likely ever be again. Investing in your earning power means different things for different people. For some, it's pursuing additional certifications or education that directly increase their market value. For others, it's developing a specific skill: coding, sales, data analysis, writing, public speaking, that commands a premium. For others, it's being strategic about which jobs they take, prioritizing companies and roles that accelerate their career trajectory even if the immediate salary isn't the highest available. The ROI on career development in your 20s is often higher than almost anything you can do with the money itself. A professional development course that costs $500 and leads to a $10,000 salary increase pays for itself in the first few weeks of the new job, and then generates that $10,000 every year thereafter. That compounds in ways a financial calculator won't show you. Don't treat your career as separate from your financial plan. It's the engine that funds everything else. Investing in that engine, strategically and consistently, is one of the most financially sound moves you can make. Let's bring it all together. Tip 1. Start investing now, even with a small amount, because time is your most valuable financial asset. Tip 2. Learn the difference between assets and liabilities and build a habit of acquiring assets as your income grows. Tip 3. Build your credit score intentionally in your 20s. It will save you thousands and open doors for decades. Tip 4. Resist lifestyle inflation every time your income increases and direct a meaningful share of raises toward your financial future. Tip 5. Capture your full employer 401k match before anything else. It's the highest guaranteed return available to you. Tip 6. Build an emergency fund before you need one, so that one bad month doesn't undo months of progress. Tip 7. Learn the basics of how your income is taxed and start using tax-advantaged accounts strategically. And Tip 8. Invest in your earning power as aggressively as you invest in the market, because your income is the foundation that makes everything else possible. These aren't complicated concepts, but most people in their 20s don't have them in one place working together. That's the difference. Start now. Even one of these moves made consistently changes your financial trajectory. All 8 made together changes everything. Drop a comment below telling us which tip you're starting with this week. Subscribe if you haven't, and check out our videos on investing for beginners and financial freedom if you want to go deeper. We'll see you in the next one.